Hi everybody. I just want to say first of all that I really enjoyed the Q&A session last week, and as always thank you so much to everybody who has followed, supported, liked, watched, viewed, shared. It really means a lot to me, and if you could keep doing that then I will be very grateful. This is a sort of special episode this week. Now, what I'm going to do is at least once a month, I'm going to pop on and I'm going to give you a pregnancy update. But I need to do a kind of wrap up of the first sort of 17 weeks because otherwise I'll never quite get caught up. So I thought if I did today, if I did that, and then from 20 weeks, I'm going to just sort of do like a monthly wrap up. There'll be other stuff going on my socials, and what I'll probably do is incorporate different updates and videos and audios about what I'm buying, about what I'm doing, about, when I'm planning my hospital bag, writing my birth plan, things like that. But definitely at least once a month, there'll be just an update on how things are going. So I'm in my 17th week at the moment, and I am going to give a little review just of how everything has gone. Not a review, an update of how everything has gone so far from the start, and then from there I'll be a little bit more up to date. We decided in October last year that come December we were going to start trying for our third baby. It was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I thought that we were probably not going to do it. I had wanted a third baby, but I didn't think it was gonna happen. And it took a little bit longer for me to get pregnant this time than it did with the other two. I can appreciate that there are people out there that struggle for years and years and years, and so in the grand scheme of things it hasn't actually been that long. But for me, on a personal level, each month was really stressful because each month that went by was a month where I thought, well, what if it's not going to happen? We did experience a chemical pregnancy, which I will talk about in a different episode probably. I don't really want to go into that right now because I have a lot to talk. We found out that we were pregnant on the 2nd of April. So there had been moments where in the months leading up to that I had thought I was pregnant and had done a test and I wasn't. So that, coupled with the chemical pregnancy, I decided that I was going to wait as long as possible to do a test. Just to, be absolutely sure that I was pregnant. I was sure I was pregnant because I was experiencing swollen nasal passages, which I'm still having. And this happened with my other two pregnancies as well. So it basically feels constantly like I've got a cold or rhinitis, I think is how you say it. So I was pretty sure that I was pregnant. On the 2nd of April, I was like, I have to do a test because we're going to Spain in a few days. So I need to know if I'm pregnant or not. And I did a test and it was positive. On the 3rd of April, I did lose a bit of a blood clot, so I was a bit worried at that point that something would happen, but here I am, pregnant. So, nothing did happen. We went to Spain for 5 days on the 6th of April. I was quite anxious from that point on. I think the anxiety largely came because I was worried that while we were in Spain that something might go wrong. And also I was alone on the plane because I had to sit away from my family, which I know to a lot of people sounds ideal, and I did get a lot of reading done, but it just gave me a lot of time alone with my thoughts, and yeah, it just wasn't very good for me. So I enjoyed the holiday a lot, and I was able to tell my sister in person early on in the pregnancy, which I had to do because of course I couldn't be in Spain with them and just pretend that I wasn't pregnant that early on. It's easy to do for a few hours, but not for 5 days. So that was quite nice. The anxiety lasted for a few weeks, but then it did start to taper off. We saw the midwife on the 17th of April, which went really well. All my bloods came back fine, my urine test came back fine, my weight was fine. She did have to do half the appointment over the phone because all of your pregnancy notes are now recorded on the Badger Notes app, but the app was down or her system was down or something, so she couldn't do all of it. The questions that she asked me, first of all, gave me the estimated due date of the 1st of December, which was the due date that we had estimated ourselves. It also determined that I was high risk for potential preeclampsia, but also because I'd had low Pap with my last pregnancy, and my son, who was overdue, was low gestational birth weight. So it's actually his birth weight that seemed to be the main concern. She recommended that I start taking aspirin, but I wanted to wait until I had had my scan and my screening tests done before I made any decisions like that. I had quite a large postpartum hemorrhage with my daughter, and I was concerned that taking aspirin might put me at risk of something like that happening again, because I'm already at risk of that happening again. So to me, it didn't seem like the best choice. So I wanted to wait, so I didn't start taking aspirin when she recommended. I did request a reassurance scan because of the clot that I'd lost, but she said that unless I ticked certain categories, they would likely say no anyway. So she was quite happy for me to continue as I was, and based on everything I was telling her, she was quite happy that the pregnancy was progressing quite well. I did start to experience pain down my right hand side, and as the weeks progressed, that didn't really go away. So I did start to get very stressed out. At around week 10, I rang the midwife and I said, look, I'm getting these pains. I know it's probably muscular, but it's all the way up and down my right hand side. And I'm just, very concerned about that. So she did arrange a reassurance scan based on that in case it was ectopic. So I had that a few days later and everything was fine. We even got a little photo of the baby at that scan. But everything was absolutely fine. They couldn't find reasons for the pain, and naturally a couple of days later the pain stopped. At that point, we were also estimated the 1st of December as a due date. On the 20th of May, I finally had my 12-week scan. Bloods all returned normal, no low Pap or anything like that. The screening tests went fine. Baby was looked absolutely fine on the scan. A funny story is that the ultrasound tech was running about half an hour late. So in the meantime, my bladder just got fuller and fuller and fuller. And so when she scanned me, there's just a big blank screen, and I was a bit alarmed. I'd seen the baby a couple of weeks before. But she was like, oh, that's your bladder, and had to move the Doppler? Is that what they're called? Anyway, she had to move the thing around to find the baby, but then found it. She also gave me the estimated due date of the 1st of December, and it's unusual to have so many occurrences of the same due date being offered because it usually changes. And then around the 25th of May, we started sharing the news that I was pregnant. During this time, I'd started to experience mild sickness, particularly in the mornings or when I was hungry. I was having extreme hunger, but just didn't know what I wanted to eat. And just so tired, like physically and mentally exhausted all the time. By 13 to 15 weeks, that sickness was still going on. I had very tender breasts, swollen nasal passages, super hungry all the time. But by the end of 15 weeks, it was starting to improve a little bit. Because I'm classed as high risk because of the low gestational birth weight of my son, I am under a consultant. So I did have a consultant appointment on the 12th of June, and to be honest, I was very nervous about it. Consultants, unfortunately, sometimes can be a bit too risk averse, and they don't often go with what you think is best for you, but can be quite pushy with their opinions. But he was lovely. I had my blood pressure done, which was absolutely fine. I had urine done, which was absolutely fine. He explained that he felt that I was very low risk of preeclampsia. And when I asked him about taking the aspirin, because, you know, again, I expressed the concerns about hemorrhaging again, he basically said to me that my risk of preeclampsia is super low, and taking the aspirin will only lower that risk a teeny tiny amount. So he said, you know, if you feel like it's the right thing to do, then by all means take it. But if it's not the right thing to do for you, then, you know, it's not a strong recommendation that I would make. So that was great. I was quite happy with that. I asked about the postpartum hemorrhage risk, and I absolutely thought that this was excellent. So basically, I explained what had happened. He said, you know, you are double the risk of hemorrhaging again. But, and these were his words, if 100 women who have, or 100 people who have hemorrhaged previously were to give birth again, 85 of them will not hemorrhage again. So that means that the chance of me hemorrhaging again is actually very small. But what he said is that they will keep a close eye on me. They'll be able to give me something that will help things close up quicker. And also they would highly recommend me having the managed placental delivery. It's quite likely that that was what caused the hemorrhage in the first place, because it was definitely related to the clotting after my placenta was delivered that caused the hemorrhage. And so to just try and help combat that, to try and help things start contracting quicker, they would recommend that. So I'll be looking into that closer to the time. But they also said that they'd have a supply of my blood on hand, and that they'll basically be watching me like a hawk. But that at the end of it all, I'll more than likely say that it was all pointless, and that's what I said I would like. I was like, that would be really great. His main concern is that due to my son being small when he was born, that I'll have another small baby. Now, my daughter was small as well, but actually she was bigger than expected. She was brought on early due to restricted growth, and she was only an ounce heavier than my son, who was born 9 days late. So it seems to be him that's the bigger concern. So I am going to have growth scans. I'm happy to accept the growth scans. I am very well aware that they can be inaccurate, but I'm happy to accept them, because that way I will know if the baby is not growing, like not just small, but not growing. So I'm quite happy to accept those, and they will start at around 30 weeks. And I'll see the consultant then. So that went really great. I was really happy with how everything went. I came out feeling really positive, and I've managed to continue feeling positive about all of those things ever since. So 16 to 17 weeks, so I'm now partway through week 17. So I've started to feel slightly better. I am still tired, but I'm not like physically exhausted. I do exhaust very quickly. So if I do, like, I had a really busy day on Wednesday, for example, and once things calmed down a bit, I was like, I need to sit. I was like, I need to sit, I need a snack, I need a drink, and I need to just not get up for a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit less sick, but it is still happening. I am possibly starting to feel a little bit of movement, but I'm not sure yet. I guess until it becomes stronger and more frequent, I just won't know if it really is baby movement, or maybe I will. I seem to remember having a few weeks of feeling the movement, and my husband not being able to feel it, but me being sure that it was baby movement. So I'm not sure yet. It's been a couple of little fluttery instances, a couple of little pokes, and some what felt like rolls. I'm not really sleeping very well. It's a combination of not being able to get comfortable and my mind just not shutting off very well, but also it's been really hot this week, so that hasn't helped. My husband bought me a gigantic pregnancy pillow, but it's been too hot to sleep in. But I'm also just finding when I do try to sleep in it, I'm just looking at it because it's right here next to me. I'd get it and show you, but it's huge. I when I do sleep in it, I'm finding it hard to get used to sleeping in it. Now it's really comfy and soft. It's one of the ones that goes like, oh, so it's like in a J sort of shape, and it goes all the way around you, and you put part of it between your legs and your head on one bit, and then it's meant to give you like back and bump support. And I don't know if I'm just not big enough yet, or if it's just like I do move about quite a bit when I'm trying to get comfy. So I don't know if it's that once you've got your legs, the bit between your legs that goes between your legs and your arm under one bit, it's then hard to move or what. But I sort of thought that I would just get into it and just fall into a deep sleep because it's so soft. But that has not been happening, and I've been having to actually move it because I'm just too hot to sleep with it as well. I have bought a hypnobirthing toolkit, which I have not started yet. So toolkit is slightly different to a course in the sense that I'm not doing a course with other people. The toolkit is an online self-paced course, and it's through Bell Mama, and I'm really excited to start it because obviously I'm a hypnobirthing instructor, but I wanted a little bit of guidance, but I didn't want to sort of start from the beginning as though I didn't know anything. So this seems ideal for what we need. So I think we're going to start that next week. It's recommended from 20 weeks, but I want to get a little bit of a jump start on it. So we're going to see. I did start doing pregnancy yoga on YouTube, which has been a little bit more intense than I would have liked, to be honest. When I was pregnant with the other two, there was a great local yoga instructor, and I loved going to her classes, but she doesn't do it anymore. She does lots of other yoga based things and retreats, but she just doesn't do the prenatal stuff anymore. There is meant to be one quite close by, but at the minute they're not running pregnancy yoga. There is one well, it's not quite far away. If I was driving there to go shopping or something, it wouldn't be too much of an issue, but because they're evening courses, and by the time I've driven there and back, it would take the whole chunk of the night, and it would be a bit stressful. I don't know when I'd be able to fit in having my tea and things like that. So I don't really want to go to that one. It's just I'd rather one that is just very, very local, but there just aren't any at the moment. So I'm doing a week by week one on YouTube, and it is good. It is nice to be doing something just for me and getting a little bit of movement in, because I want to start doing some pregnancy workouts the past couple of weeks, but I've been very overwhelmed with things and just haven't made that start yet. So it's nice to be doing that little bit of gentle movement, but some of it's clearly being done by somebody who I feel like they're aimed at people who are maybe a little bit more advanced with their yoga practices, and I am not. I've done yoga lots of times, but I'm not very I'm not very advanced at it, so it is a little bit harder, but I'm just trying to modify it where I can so that I'm not overdoing it. At 16 weeks I did have a midwife appointment as well. That went really well. My blood pressure, urine, everything like that was all fine. I had the whooping cough vaccine, which was fine. I didn't have any, I didn't feel unwell or anything after having it. So it was a very short appointment, and I've got my next one in the middle of August. So that's nice. And that's kind of it. That's where I'm up to. I've started wearing maternity clothes because while I haven't got a massive bump at the moment, I have got a bit of a tummy on me. I think that I'm just bigger this time than pre-pregnancy than I was with the other two, and so there's more to stick forward, which is fine, absolutely fine. I'm embracing it. I am also pregnant for the third time, and they do say that your body starts to do things a bit sooner, so I guess that's also got something to do with it. But it is relief to be in stretchy, soft clothing, because I was still wearing my jeans up until last week, and I felt like they were cutting me in half. That wasn't fun. I've ordered a couple of bits on Vinted too, because some of my stuff does not quite fit me the same as it did before. And again, that's fine. I'm a human growing another human. So I will give you another update around 20 weeks, but I'm sure there will be stuff going out on my socials in the meantime. So that is it for this week's catch up. It's been a bit of a blah, 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 lots of information, but it's just because otherwise I could talk about every little thing for ages. But going forward, because I'll be doing smaller updates, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about what's going on. So in the meantime, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow, all of that. I really, really appreciate it. And hopefully soon I'll have a proper intro and outro as well. So that'll be nice. So thank you for listening today or watching today, wherever you are. And I will speak to you again soon.